The Duke of Sussex welcomed the inquiry, which found former BBC journalist Martin Bashir deceitfully obtained an interview with his mother Princess Diana. Harry said the findings were the first step towards justice but warned of bad media practices still being around now. He said, "Our mother was an incredible woman who dedicated her life to service. She was resilient, brave, and unquestionably honest. The ripple effect of a culture of exploitation and unethical practices ultimately took her life. To those who have taken some form of accountability, thank you for owning it. That is the first step towards justice and truth. Yet what deeply concerns me is that practices like these, and even worse, are still widespread today. Then, and now, it's bigger than one outlet, one network, or one publication. Our mother lost her life because of this, and nothing has changed. By protecting her legacy, we protect everyone, and uphold the dignity with which she lived her life. Let's remember who she was and what she stood for." Diana's oldest son Prince William did not hold back as he also issued a statement criticizing the BBC for its failings around his mother's Panorama interview. He added it made her fear, paranoia and isolation worse. William said he was left with indescribable sadness to know the BBC had contributed significantly to Diana, Princess of Wales' state of mind in the final years of her life. He said, "She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders at the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions." William also called for the documentary never to be aired again and said the BBC's failings had not only let his mother and family down but the public as well. It comes after an inquiry found the BBC covered up deceitful behaviour used by Mr. Bashir to secure his shocking exclusive interview with Diana in 1995, and fell short of high standards of integrity and transparency. The journalist was in serious breach of the BBC's producer guidelines when he faked bank statements and showed them to Earl Spencer to gain access to the Princess, a report by Lord Dyson revealed. The BBC has written to the royal family to apologise for the circumstances around the interview. During the interview, Diana spoke about her failed marriage to Prince Charles as she famously said, "Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage. So it was a bit crowded," which was a reference to Camilla who Charles later married. William added in his statement, "The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation that I remember from those final years with her. But what saddens me most is that if the BBC had properly investigated the complaints and concerns first raised in 1995, my mother would have known that she had been deceived." In an era of fake news, public service broadcasting and a free press have never been more important. These failings, identified by investigative journalists, not only let my mother down, and my family down, they let the public down too. In response to the findings, Mr. Bashir said, "This is the second time that I have willingly fully cooperated with an investigation into events more than 25 years ago. I apologized then, and I do so again now, over the fact that I asked for bank statements to be mocked up. It was a stupid thing to do and was an action I deeply regret. But I absolutely stand by the evidence I gave a quarter of a century ago, and again more recently. I also reiterate that the bank statements had no bearing whatsoever on the personal choice by Princess Diana to take part in the interview. Evidence handed to the inquiry in her own handwriting, and published alongside the report today, unequivocally confirms this, and other compelling evidence presented to Lord Dyson reinforces it. In fact, despite his other findings, Lord Dyson himself in any event accepts that the Princess would probably have agreed to be interviewed without what he describes as my intervention. It is saddening that this single issue has been allowed to overshadow the Princess' brave decision to tell her story, to courageously talk through the difficulties she faced, and to help address the silence and stigma that surrounded mental health issues all those years ago. She led the way in addressing so many of these issues, and that's why I will always remain immensely proud of that interview.